Hi, and welcome to Turner Truck and Tractor. My name's Les, and I'm glad you're here. And you never know what may show up at the place. Let me take you around the corner, and do you see it? Check this out. We've got a Ford in the house. There may be a little disturbance in the force, but it's all right. I'm enjoying it so far. And it's an honor and privilege to be entrusted to work on a tractor of someone else's. So I appreciate him dropping it by and having my brother and I take a look at it. Well, let me tell you a little bit. It's a 1954 Ford NAA tractor. It's also called the Jubilee. This series ran from 1953 to 54. He dropped it off last night right before sunset, so I just took a quick look at it, and then after dinner got on the internet and did my quick research and primer on it and tried to get a little educated on it. I have not been around Ford tractors such as this. I grew up in the Texas Panhandle and spent the summers in southern Oklahoma, and we just didn't have anything like this. I wish we did. After looking at it, it looks like the perfect chore tractor, but up there you had a lot of wheatland tractors, row crop tractors, just because of the terrain and the job at hand. Here in South Texas, these tractors and their derivatives are everywhere, and I can see why. Probably a little bit better dealer representation, and they just fit this terrain a lot better. It's smaller acreage generally. It's got more hills, more slopes. This is lower to the ground, and it just fits a lot of tasks, in these smaller properties and homesteads around here. But let's take a look. It came in. He's had this just for a little bit. It's not a family tractor of his by any means. He did it through some horse trading, I believe. And several people have looked at it and they can't get it to start. And it will become pretty obvious as to why really quick. So I really like this tractor as I look at it. The front end and the geometry of it and the Art Deco look. Everything is just really neat. I can already see some hand craftsmanship right here on this air vent. It doesn't have the air filter on it. I didn't get it. I don't know if he has it. I hope he does. But a little handwork right there. But what I was talking about on the geometry of the steering, it's got this same pitman arm on the other side. So it moves opposite, and these control arms and the steering arm operates each side independently, but yet together because it's tied into the steering gearbox. And if you choose to widen the front end, that's all you have to do is widen it, and it stays all in geometry with itself and makes that quite easy. So you're seeing it for the first time that I am. I've never really had a tractor with the underslung exhaust. It ends right underneath your left foot. So I don't know how that is, if exhaust fumes get to be a bother or not. Since it is like a utility type tractor, or the beginnings of the utility tractor kind of field, your feet straddle the transmission instead of your feet sitting on top like you would a full-size row crop tractor. And I'm looking at it, looks like it's somewhere in its life had a 12-volt conversion, which is pretty normal for stuff like this. And in my research, the early model tractors had a serial number here on the block right around this first cylinder right here. This one must be a later one because it's right here, and I could barely see an A7, but after I did my research, it should say NAA 7, and then it has a series of digits, and it's stamped in there, and it's pretty light. But it's got the Delco 3-wire generator, which I do like actually. I mean, one's all right, but the 3-wire is actually, in my opinion, just slightly better. Let's take a look. So yeah, no air filter there. Oh, what do we got here? Okay. That maybe belongs there, or it did at once upon a time. Probably had a butt connector and pulled off. Alright, this heavy wire probably went to your battery. Alright, starter bolt's a little bit loose. Looks like someone put a new solenoid on it right there. And what do we have here? Some Pot County tweakers been working on it with the house wire nut. Lovely, classic. But it's been on here long enough. It looks like was a yellow wire and it's been painted this orangey red, so it's been on there a while. Now this wire looks like it's been hot a time or two with the splice. And these splices I use few and far between. I've only used maybe 3 in my whole lifetime. And what happens, they get corroded and then they quit working and you wonder why and scratch your head and get mad at the tractor for these connections like this. Alright, it's got a key switch on the side like a Harley. Yeah, like I said, this is sort of new to me. Pretty cool. Oh, it's got a starter like a high beam switch on the old car. Well, that's probably your starter. Okay, that must be a choke rod with no knob on it, but that's what it acts like. Let's look down here. Yep, sure enough, there's your choke. I like this tractor. It's all together and you can tell it's been used, but it's all complete, which is great, and not totally beat up and rusted out. It's got its spots. I pick on Oklahoma, but here's your Oklahoma parking brake, a rock. Maybe an old screwdriver. Hey, what's this? Somebody's literally a 10mm. I can't make this up. I don't know if you can see that on there, but it's a Chinese 10mm, no doubt. Better be careful, something might come out and bite me out of that. Something I noticed on the Fords here, they've got the brake drum here on the outboard side of the axles, which there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know if that sort of reflects their automotive history, but it gets the job done. You might have to take off a wheel to service it, but other than that, where other tractors may have it here on the planetary or some shaft in the transmission. It's got the smaller size PTO shaft here. And then they make adapters, and I think you can swap this shaft out. I mean, you got to get into the transaxle, but it can be done if you're dedicated enough. All right, no 2 bolts match. Good, classic. That's the way we want it. Maybe some work lights once upon a time. Tractors have the same, or the back tires have the same tread, but I noticed that tire is a different size. It's a little bit wider and thus a little bit taller if you look at it closely. All right, this must be your 3-point hitch lever, your left and right brake, the other side's the clutch. And right here it becomes apparent why they're not having a good success in starting it. All right, well, first I see this resistor with wires just cut off of it, and this used to go to the coil. All right, and then we got this wire that I don't know if you can see it, has been baked to the point of it was acting like a fuse, and here's the insulation off of it. Well, I'm sure that was a sight when that happened. So there's some issues right there. Yeah, and there's some stuff, some evils and some sorrows going on up there that need to be looked at. So, like I said, I think this is on a 12-volt system. And if you can look right there, it's got a 6-volt coil. It looks like a new coil, but it says 6 volts right there. And so, in its short life, it's had a tough life, I'm going to say. Spark plug wires look good. And that's not attached. We'll look into that. Looks like it may be seeping here a little bit. But all in all, nothing that can't be fixed. And I love these little jobs, tinkering on stuff like this. I find it a challenge, and I like working on new stuff and learning how others did it and how other manufacturers sort of answer the question of good, fast, and cheap for the task at hand. you know, and how they did it and manufacturing. And even though I might have my favorite tractors, I really love them all, truth be told. And, you know, each one brings something to the table, maybe even literally and figuratively, you know, on the table and the clothes on your back. And I like the design of it. It harkens back to mid-century, this Art Deco, you know, 50s kind of look. Really hits home. They did a good job on it. The simplicity and the durability of it, it'll be here another 50 years, you take care of it. Or my new tractor in 50 years, it may or it may not be here. But really a cool setup. So I'm excited to take a look at it, get to work on it, do the dangerous thing of get on the internet with a credit card and order a lot of parts. And then the sad part is, got to wait and wait and wait. And whenever you anticipating it, it's like a kid at Christmas. You know, it just takes forever. So when the parts show up, I will bring you back and we'll tear into this. But for right now, I appreciate your time and hanging out with us, and I will talk to you later. Take care.